Hi everyone, how are you? So, today we're going to continue with unit number 7, and today we have the second video in which we're going to be studying ways to talk about what things you did or saw, right? Ask and say where people were. So we're going to talk about places and say where you were as well. So this first activity is called I was there. So remember that in English we have the verb to be, right? The most important one, which in Spanish means ser o estar, right? So in present, the verb to be is translated as am, is, and are, right? So depending on the subject. I am, he is, they are. But in past, we have only two options. We have was and where, right? And we're going to be studying their differences in a moment. But depending, of course, on the subject, we're going to use either was or where. So if the verb to be means ser o estar, in the past, it would mean éramos o estábamos, right? O era o estaba, right? So we're going to use this to talk about places, right? For example, I was at school, or we can use it also to talk about feelings, like I was happy, I was sad, right? So important, we use it mainly to talk about places and states, right? And we use that with adjectives, like I was happy, I was sad, I was busy, and we also use it to talk about the place. Now, I'm going to leave this over here. Can I move it? And we're going to do the activity. It says, read Tom's email. So here you have an email, right? Maybe I can put it here, right? So read Tom's email. Who are the people in the photo? So this email is going to explain who are these people. So let's see. It says, only 3 people were at the meeting yesterday. I was there, of course, and Hassan and Paula were there. But Maria was in hospital and Boris was on holiday. And Peter was busy, right? So here we have the images. So this would be the meeting. So we know that Paula was in the meeting and Hassan and Tom. So one of these is Hassan, probably this one, and then we have Tom over here, right? Maria was in hospital, so she would be Maria, right? Boris was on holiday, then we have Boris, and Peter was busy. So if you pay attention to the email, when we have the verb was or where, we have where at the meeting. So that is a place, right? So in this case, maybe a situation. I was there at the meeting, right? And Hassan and Paula were there too. Maria was in hospital. Here we're talking about a place as well. Boris was on holiday, which that would be kind of like a situation more than a specific place. And Peter was busy. So that is an state, right? Busy. He was busy. Very good. Now, the difference between was and were depends on the subjects, right? So just as the verb to be in present, am, is, or are, depending on the subject we have, we're going to use either was or were. So the rules are, we use was for subjects I, she, he, and it, and we're going to use were with you, they, and we, right? So if we want to complete this table, we are going to say that for singulars, I was, he, she was, and for plurals, we were and they were, right? So that is going to be the rule. Now let's practice a bit. So I want you to do this exercise, so please pause the video and complete with was or were, right? Are you ready? So let's check your answers. Number 1 would be I was in London on Monday. They were at home yesterday. We were on holiday. They were in Paris last year. My mother was ill and she was here on Monday. Did you have them all correct? Very good. Now let's continue. It says, listen to Tom. Choose the word he says. So you're going to identify in this part if they are going to use the verb in positive or negative, right? So you know that was and wasn't, those are opposites, right? So I would say I wasn't, he or she wasn't, which means was not. You can use both. Both are correct. This is a contraction. And for plurals, we have weren't, the short form of were not. So we're going to listen and you're going to choose the correct words.
Track 18.
The meeting was on Tuesday, but we were only 3 people. I was there, of course, and Hassan and Paula were there, but Maria was ill, and Boris was on holiday, so they weren't at the meeting. And Peter was busy, so he wasn't there. So it wasn't a very good meeting, really.
Okay, so remember that if you need to listen again, you can pause the video and go back, all right? We're going to check your answers now. So first we have this is Tom talking, right? I was at the meeting. Boris and Maria weren't at the meeting. Peter wasn't there. It wasn't a very good meeting, right? So he says that it wasn't a very good meeting because there were only 3 people, right? The whole team was not in the meeting. Now let's see. Now we have an activity for you to use some expressions, right? So here we have an email. It says, "Hi Tom, sorry I wasn't at the meeting on Tuesday. I was on holiday." So who do you think wrote this email? Remember we talked about Boris, Maria, Peter. Who was on holiday? That was Boris, right? So Boris wrote this email to let Tom know that he wasn't going to be at the meeting, right? Or excusing himself why he wasn't on the meeting. Now, try to write similar emails to Tom using these expressions, right? So here we have a meeting yesterday. In this case, the meeting was on Tuesday. Last night, party, English class, Tuesday, London, holiday, ill, or busy. So what's important for you to know is that when we use this word, we use other words to accompany them. So for example, when we talk about meetings, we say at the meeting. I wasn't at the meeting yesterday. Yes? Or you can also say, I wasn't at the English class. And that would be on Tuesday. On Tuesday. Yes? We also use at the with the word party. Over here. At the party. So I wasn't at the party last night because I was ill or I was busy. Now for London, a place, we use the preposition in. I was in London on holiday, so I wasn't at the English class on Tuesday. Yeah, so try to create some sentences using these expressions, and we can talk about this in our class and discuss your answers. Now let's continue. Now we're going to move on to talk a bit about how to make questions using the verb to be, right? So these are questions about the past using the verb to be as the main auxiliary. Here we're not going to be using other auxiliaries, just questions that start with the same verb, right? So in English, in Spanish, I'm sorry, it would be something like, ¿estabas tú en la cena ayer? O ¿estabas tú feliz ayer? ¿Estabas tú ocupado? Right? Those are the type of questions that we're going to create. Now look at the photo. Who are the people? Do you remember them? So here we have, this is Hassan, right? Then we have the name, and this one, of course, is Peter. So they are going to be talking a bit about the meeting at the office, right? Or maybe at the office party, I'm sorry. And what I want you to do is to look at these sentences and try to identify if they are true or false. And if they are false, I want you to change them into true. All right, so let's see. Let's see if, for example, Hassan wasn't at the party. So you say false and you write Hassan was not at the party, right? That would be the right sentence. So let's listen now and change the false statements.
Track 19.
Were you at the office party?
Yes, I was. We all were.
What was it like?
Oh, it was really good. Where were you?
Me? Oh, I was at home. I was really tired. I just went to bed early.
Okay, so let's see. We have number 1 says Hassan was at the party, and that is true, right? It was a good party. That is true as well, right? Hassan said that it was very good. Number 4, Peter was at the party. That's not true. Peter was at home, right? He wasn't at the party. He was at home. And it says Peter was busy, and we say that Peter was tired. That is why he didn't go to the party, right? Now, it says complete the questions in the bubbles. Listen to check. So here we have the bubbles, right? Try to complete the questions with the correct expressions. All of these are questions, right? So let's see.
Track 19.
Were you at the office party?
Yes, I was. We all were.
What was it like?
Oh, it was really good. Where were you?
Me? Oh, I was at home. I was really tired. I just went to bed early.
Okay, so the questions in this case would be, were you at the party? What was it like? Be careful with these type of questions. What was it like? In Spanish would be something like, ¿cómo estuvo? ¿Cómo estuvo? En este caso, it significa la fiesta. ¿Cómo estuvo la fiesta? El verbo like no es el verbo principal de esta oración, sino que el verbo principal es este, ¿cierto? ¿Cómo estuvo? ¿Cómo fue? ¿Cómo fue la fiesta? ¿Cierto? ¿Fue entretenida o no? Ya, no es como si te gustó la fiesta, no, right? Son preguntas con ser o estar, remember. What was it like? And then we have, where were you? Where were you? Right? The pronunciation is the same, but remember that the spelling, this one is with an H. And this where means donde, right? And this is the verb to be in past. So, as always, for positive sentences, we use the subject, the verb, and then the complement. And for questions, we use the auxiliary first. In this case, we're going to use the verb itself, right? Verb, subject, and complement. But in some cases in which we use question words like where, when, why, how, what, these are always the first words in a question. Siempre los question words, como los que le di recién de ejemplo, siempre van a ir primero. ¿Ya? Nunca van a cambiar de posición. Siempre va a ir esto y después en este caso el verbo y el sujeto. Nunca al revés. Nunca question word, subject and verb. Recuerden que siempre invertimos los roles del verbo y del sujeto cuando hacemos preguntas. Now, write the questions in the correct order. So please pause the video because we're going to be checking your answers in a moment. All right? So let's see. Number 1 would be, where were you on Saturday? Number 2, were you at home last night? Where were you yesterday afternoon? Four, were you here last week? Where were you at the weekend? Remember that the time expressions are usually placed at the end of the question. Last week, yesterday afternoon, last night, and on Saturday. Right? Very good. Now, finally, we're going to be talking about some places. Right? Some expressions to talk about places. So, where were you? If I ask you these questions, you will probably use either a place, right, or maybe a situation to answer. So look at these photos. Where do you think these people are? So we have at home, in bed, at work, at a party, asleep, which means sleeping, right? In a cafe, on holiday, or at a meeting. So let's have a look at the images and try to say where these people are. So, number 1, we say they are at a meeting. They are at a meeting. Or we can also say they are at work. Right? Those are the two possibilities. For B, we say he, because that's a man, right? He is on holiday. He is on holiday. For C, we can say he is at home. I'm sorry. Yes, we can also say that he is at home, probably, right? Because he's sleeping. Okay, we can say at home. We can also say that he is in bed. And we can say that he is asleep, right? He is asleep. For D, we say that they, by plural, they are in a cafe. And she is at a party, right? So, what I want you to do is to write one sentence for each of these time expressions. So, for example, where were you last night? You can say, last night I was at home, or I was at home last night. Where were you last Thursday? So, in these questions, your answer will probably be at home in all of them, right? Because we've been at home for a very long period of time. But try to maybe think about different expressions that you can use in each case, right? So, for example, you can say, last night I was at a party. Or, last week I was on holiday. I was asleep on Friday morning, maybe. Now, let's go finally to the page 110 to check about some place expressions. I'm sorry. So, okay, so we are finally here. Now, here we have, of course, images of places like restaurants, cafe, mosque, church, right? We already studied that, but let's pay attention to the expressions we use. So, for example, we use the preposition at to talk about very close in specific places, right? So you can say, I am or I was at the airport, at the station or at the bus station, at a meeting, at a party, at the theater, at the cinema, at university, at school, at work, and at home. Now, if you pay attention, in most cases, we use the expression, the article the station, the airport, the theater, the cinema, right? Or at a party, this is indefinite, right? Now, for the cases of university, school, work, and home, we are not going to use the preposition because this place is something known for everyone and this is also a state, ¿ya? Esto cuando decimos que estamos en casa o que estamos en el trabajo, no es solo una expresión como que estoy en la oficina, sino que estoy en una acción temporal. Por ejemplo, si yo estoy al trabajo, si estoy en el trabajo es porque estoy obviamente trabajando. ¿Sí? Entonces son lugares más recurrentes, ¿sí? Que demuestran lo que hacemos nosotros normalmente en nuestra rutina, ¿sí? Así entonces no usamos el artículo the, sino que decimos I am at home, I am at work, right? ¿Sí? ¿Cuál es tu trabajo? Quizás es una oficina, quizás es un hospital, quizás es un cinema, right? Pero es más visto como un estado, como algo que estoy haciendo, ¿cierto? Más prolongado. I am at work. Now, we can use in or at in these places as well. You can say I'm in a cafe, in a restaurant, or in a hotel. If you're staying at a hotel, you can use both expressions. And we use in to talk about streets, right? In King Street or in bed. That means that you're inside bed and you're probably sleeping or resting, right? And for the expression holiday, we use on. Now, we can also use near and next to. These are things that you already know, right? We live near the town center, or I am near the town center. I am next to the supermarket, at the music shop, right? So you say at home, at school, at university, or at work without the article. Were you at home instead of saying were you at the home, right? So that would be it for today. Practice past verbs. I'm going to leave more exercises for you on the Aula Virtual so you can have a lot of practice time before the tests. And as always, if you have any questions, you can write me back at my email. So take care, stay at home if you can, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye bye.